Have you ever felt like you're wrestling with something? Maybe it's a big decision, a fear you can't shake, or a past mistake that keeps haunting you. Today, we're diving into a powerful story about a man who literally wrestled with God, and what it teaches us about our own struggles. Jacob had been away from his home for over 20 years. He was a successful man, with a large family and great wealth. But as he journeyed back to his homeland, a deep-seated fear gnawed at him. He was about to face his estranged brother, Esau. The last time they met, Jacob had deceived their father and stolen Esau's birthright and blessing. Now, word came that Esau was riding to meet him with 400 men. Was this a welcoming party, or an army bent on revenge? Terrified, Jacob did what he did best. He strategized. He divided his family and flocks into two groups, hoping that if one was attacked, the other might escape. He sent waves of lavish gifts ahead, trying to appease his brother's potential anger. Then, that night, he sent his wives, children, and all his possessions across the Jabbok River. Jacob was left completely alone in the darkness, waiting for the dawn and for whatever his future held. He had run out of schemes and was at his most vulnerable. Suddenly, out of the shadows, a man appeared. No words were exchanged. They immediately began to wrestle. This wasn't a brief scuffle. It was an all-night, relentless struggle. The two were locked in a desperate, powerful embrace, churning the dust by the riverbank as the hours ticked by. Neither man could gain the upper hand. The fight was raw, intense, and seemingly endless. As the first hints of dawn painted the eastern sky, the struggle reached its climax. Jacob, though exhausted, sensed this was no ordinary opponent. There was a divine strength, a supernatural power in the man he was grappling with. Realizing he couldn't overpower Jacob through sheer force, the mysterious man touched the socket of Jacob's hip, and with that single touch, it was wrenched out of joint. A searing pain shot through Jacob's body, a pain that would leave him with a permanent limp. But even in his agony, Jacob did something extraordinary. He didn't let go. He clung on with every ounce of strength he had left. The man said, "Let me go, for the day is breaking." But Jacob, gasping for breath, his body screaming in pain, replied, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." He knew this was his moment. He had spent his life striving and deceiving to get blessings, but now, broken and desperate, he was clinging to the very source of blessing itself. The man asked him, "What is your name?" It was a question that cut to the core of his identity. "Jacob," he answered. The name meant supplanter, deceiver. It was an admission of his entire life of manipulation and struggle. Then, the man declared, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome." He blessed him there. In that moment of surrender and honesty, Jacob received not just a blessing, but a new name, a new identity. As the sun rose, Jacob, now Israel, limped away from the river. He named the place Peniel, which means face of God, saying, "I have seen God face to face, and yet my life was spared." The limp wasn't a mark of defeat. It was a permanent reminder of his life-changing encounter. He went into that night as Jacob, the fearful trickster, leaning on his own schemes. He emerged into the dawn as Israel, a man who had wrestled with God, and was now marked by him, leaning on God's strength. This story is so much more than an ancient wrestling match. It's a mirror for our own lives. We all have our own dark nights of wrestling with doubt, with our past, with our purpose. Jacob's story shows us that God isn't afraid of our struggles. In fact, He often meets us right in the middle of them. True transformation doesn't come from avoiding the fight, but from holding on to God through it all, even when it hurts. It's in our moments of greatest weakness and vulnerability, when we finally stop striving in our own strength and cling to Him, that we receive our truest blessing and find our real identity. What are you wrestling with today? Remember Jacob. Don't be afraid of the struggle. Cling to God, and you might just walk away with a limp, but also with a new name and a blessing you never imagined. Thanks so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that explores faith and life. We'd love to have you as part of our community. See you in the next video.